Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening. Today I would like to explain on crime scene processing. Crime scene. A crime scene is any location that may be associated with a committed crime. Crime scene contain physical evidence that is appropriate to a criminal investigation. The evidence is collected by crime scene investigator and law enforcement. First process is securing and isolating the crime scenes. The first officer arrived at the crime scene is responsible to preserve and protect the area as much as possible. Special note should be taken of any vehicles or people leaving the scenes. Of course, the first priority should be given to obtain medical assistance to injured person and evaluate the victim's condition. Everyone entering the crime scenes must wear personal protective equipment. This normally includes crime suits, gloves, overshoes, and also face mask. Personal protective equipment is important to minimize possibility of contamination of the crime scene by investigators and also to protect the investigators from contaminants and hazards that may be present. The next process is recording the crime scenes. There are three methods in recording the crime scenes, which are note-taking, photography, and sketch. Note-taking process begins with the call to a crime scene investigator to report a crime scene. The notes should be started by identifying the person who contacted the investigator, the time contact, and any preliminary information disclosed, including case number. When the lead investigator arrives, the note taker should record the date and time of arrival, who is present, and the identities of other personnel who are being contacted. The record must be precise and any movement in and out should be recorded. The tasks assigned to each member of the team should also be recorded. And the next, the photography. Each crime scene should be photographed as completely as possible. The most important thing for photographing a crime scene is for it to be unaltered unless injured person is involved. Objects must not be moved until they have been photographed from all necessary angles. At a minimum of 4 photographs are required at a crime scenes, which are an overview photograph, a medium range photograph, a close-up photograph, and a close-up photograph with scales. Once the photographs have been taken, crime scene investigators sketch the scene. A sketch can clearly show the layout of the crime scene and the relationship in space of all items and features significant to the investigation. A rough sketch containing an accurate depiction of the dimensions of the scene and showing all objects having a bearing on the case. The next process is conducting a systematic search for evidence. There are common search patterns, which are spiral search method, line search, grid search, quadrant search, and also wheel search. Line search methods involve one or two investigators start at the boundary at one end of the scene and walk straight across to the other side. They then move a little farther along the border and walk straight back to the other side. Grid search method involve two people performing line search that originate from adjacent corners and form perpendicular lines. Wheel search method involve several people moving from the boundary straight toward the center of the scene or from the center straight to the boundary. Quadrant search method. The quadrant search method divides the scene into zones or quadrants, and each team members are assigned to search each section. Each section can be subdivided into smaller sections for smaller teams to search thoroughly. Spiral search pattern is conducted by one person and is done by walking in a circle from the outermost point of the inner perimeter toward the center of the circle. The marking of the evidence is done during the search of evidence. The next process is collecting and packaging physical evidence. Each physical evidence have different methods on handling and packaging. Evidence should not be removed until investigators have documented its location and appearance in notes, sketch, and photograph. Each evidence should be packaged separately to avoid cross-contamination. Plastic bag is not recommended because it has a possibilities of growth of mold. Unbreakable plastic bottles or with pressure leaks are excellent containers for glass, hair, fibers, and various kinds of small or trace evidence. Alternatively, manila envelopes, screw-cap glass vials, sealable plastic bags, or metal pillbox are adequate containers for most trace evidence. Ordinary mailing envelopes should not be used as evidence container, especially for powder or fine particles, because it will leak out of the container. Instead, package the evidence in a folded paper using what is known as druggist fold. biological evidence, use only disposable tools to collect biological materials for packaging. All items containing biological fluid evidence should be air-dried and placed individually to ensure constant air circulation. Each package must be sealed with evidence tape or other seal such as heat seals and gum seals. If possible, do not use staples. All the physical evidence that has been packaged should be labeled, and a list of people who came into possession of the evidence should be listed on the packaging to maintain the chain of custody. A minimum chain of custody record would show the collector's initials, location of the evidence, and the date of collection. If the evidence is passed to another person for care or delivery to the laboratory, this transfer must be recorded in notes and other appropriate forms. The chain of custody should be kept at a minimum because all the individuals involved in the collection and transportation of the evidence may be requested to testify in court. That's all. Thank you.